Welcome SAO survivors! This week we have a lot of news. New Sword Online original movie announced, new Sword Online console game, Sword Online Last Recollection has been announced, variant Showdown has been delayed, internally speaking, we'll get into it in a bit. A whole lot of stuff happening, so let's get into all of them all so I can be ready tomorrow to dive into some new frontiers with Sonic Frontiers coming out. If you're interested, do subscribe, we're gonna live stream and all that jazz as well as usual, but that's a completely separate topic. Welcome to This Week in SAO for all your weekly Sword Online news. As usual, we're starting with the anime news. We got a new trailer for Scherzo of Deep Night. That's 2 weeks into release. We're getting that more comprehensive trailer where they have shown a whole lot of new cuts that we had never seen before, including some really incredible action shots and character moments. I do strongly recommend you go check that out. But on the topic of Scherzo, we also got our new weekly cinema bonus in Japan, which is a new side story written by Reki Kawahara, and it's pretty much continuing the trend we got with the first day side story, continued by the next day side story. This is titled Sword Online the Seventh Day instead. We are 7 days into the release of Sword Online, and Kirito is trying to get to the Tolbana, the final town of the floor 1. That's right next to the labyrinth of floor 1 as well, but he gets stuck in a cave dungeon, and it seems like he is going to be going through that cave with Argo in the end. So it is bound to be a great story if Argo is involved. I am looking forward to it. You can pause the video and read the synopsis right here. It doesn't say much, but still, it's here. I actually forgot my tea. That makes me look more intelligent, so now the news actually begins. As you all know, November 6th marked the release of Sword Online in Universe, so in commemoration a lot of things are happening. I am doing my part with the first part of my complete Sword Online timeline videos. This is including early Aincrad side stories as well as the entirety of Progressive that has been released so far, most of which is not at all included by the anime, so if you're interested in such a thing, I do recommend checking it out. Aside from that, I am also making a live tweet thread on Twitter where I am basically, tweeting the events that happen throughout SAO, including all of these side stories and progressive stuff that are included in the main canon. All of this is for main canon, by the way, not the anime canon, which has taken out a whole lot of things, not the progressive movie canon, which has added a lot of things, just the canon light novel stuff. But I'm not the only person doing something special. A whole lot of people on Twitter, Pixiv, or your preferred image sharing website, they're all sharing incredible art to go along with the anniversary. Well, it's not an anniversary, it's literally the release date. So if you're interested, go ahead and support your favorite artists. Along with that, the FullDive event in Japan, it has happened. I am just gonna drop my tea over here. I'm not drinking it, it's just tiring my arm. The FullDive event, it had a whole lot of events that were written by Reki Kawahara, taking place between characters, but it seems like most of them, if not all, are non-canon. There was a bit where Yui was talking about that dead floodlights go over to a place called Ain Sophia, so they may see each other again and that kind of stuff. That's not canon, we know that much. But the most impressive highlight of the event, at least for those of us who did not directly watch it, being on the scene and stuff, we have received a special opening animation for the FullDive event itself. It portrays our characters in the real world before diving into Sword Online with some really nice animation and atmosphere going on. Celeste has translated it. It is available on the Sword Online wiki at Twitter. I'm gonna link it down below, as is everything else is linked down in the description. So do check it out, it's quite good. Now we got the biggest news and also the weakest news among all of these. We have a completely original Sword Online movie that's been announced. We have no date, we have no title, we have no synopsis, we have no idea where it's landing in terms of timeline. It's just a new movie. It's been announced. Look for more news. It's gonna be covered right here in This Week in SAO whenever that ends up happening. But another new announcement, this one has a whole lot of context, and well, let's talk about it, shall we? New Sword Art Online game, Sword Art Online Last Recollection, has been announced. This is the War of Underworld equivalent of Alicization Lycoris. So Alicization Lycoris was like the Human Empire arc of Alicization in the light novels, whereas this one, Last Recollection, is taking it to the War of Underworld instead. It seems like the final stress test is coming, seems like there are some peace attempts. I am hoping Shasta is going to remain alive in the trailer. We have translated the trailer, by the way, it's on the channel, it's gonna be linked in the description as well. But in the trailer it seems like Berkuli is talking with Shasta, so that's the one thing I am looking forward to in this game. Please, 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 please give us more Vixur Ul Shasta. Despite the fact that the Japanese website calls him Shuster for whatever reason, but that happens all the time. They also misspelled Shinon again. Not surprised with that one. But yeah, the elephant in the room is that since the reveal of Alicization Lycoris, Yosuke Futami, the SAO Gameverse producer, has been quite adamant about Lycoris being the final story in the Gameverse, but from the looks of it, they have backtracked. In fact, we have sensed this quite intensely during the announcements of version 3.10 news that were coming. You know, he was all about the story will be continuing and all that kind of stuff. It was very cryptic messages, but even at that point they were already backtracking. Here it is. We have the next game that is the last game again until a United Ring game happens. Even back in my video I was talking about this, you know, it's the last game until they decide it isn't. So that's where we're at. The funny thing is, it appears they have decided all the way back in 2018 to separate the Human Empire arc and the War of Underworld arc completely into two separate projects, which is the part that rubs me the wrong way when it comes to constantly stating Alicization Lycoris being the last Gameverse story. You know, in the end you can stretch the words and shove it off to Japanese language being vague, and what they meant was, oh, the Alicization saga of the Gameverse is the final adventure or something like that, but still this should not have happened this way, with constantly claiming that Lycoris was gonna be the last one when this was decided back in 2018 before Lycoris was even released. It just leaves a bad taste in the mouth. We have tons of character confirmations. I have talked about it on my Twitter. I'm gonna link the thread down below in the description as well. The biggest change from Alicization Lycoris is that we are moving from the heavily modified Fire engine that Akuria had going into the Unreal engine instead. We still don't know who the developer for Last Recollection is, but hopefully we will find out in the upcoming months. The game is going to be coming out in 2023. In terms of designs and redesigns, pretty much most things are remaining the same. Asuna, Shinon, and Lifa do seem to be using their Lycoris designs in the character visuals that we have on the website. However, we also have a scene where they are all shown dead, lying on the ground. And the Asuna on the key visual, it looks more similar to her Stacia self rather than the Lycoris outfit. So this makes me think that they may actually end up dying quite early on, and then they will come back with their goddess accounts instead. That is the common theory that's been going on around that I do like a lot. As for redesigns that we can see, the Rulit trio have received a huge redesign. And the only other thing we can see is that Berkuli has finally changed from his bathrobes into his light armor for battle instead. DIL seems to have received whips, which makes me think Sacred Arts is gonna be relegated to some background usage again. Not all that great. I really would have preferred having more of an involved combat potential for Sacred Arts, you know, something that can stand on its own, but it seems like we're not having it, otherwise they wouldn't have changed the characters from a wizard into a whip user. As for new weapons, well, we definitely see the scythe, we definitely see battle axes with Agil and Klein being showcased in the trailer itself. We see Iskan, who, unlike DAL, has no weapon in his hands, and we also see his finisher art in the trailer as well. It's just full close quarters combats, the pugilist style, so that's probably gonna be an entirely new system as well. We don't see Rogu anywhere at all, so his shield blade, maybe not. Medina is shown nowhere on the trailer itself, however you can see her sword being included in the game logo visual, and that's all I have to say on last Recollection. This has been quite long actually, I had a lot to say. But we will be moving on now. Alicization Lycoris. Edith has been confirmed to arrive in a 3.11 update, no date at the moment of this recording. Variant Showdown, I mentioned this at the very beginning of this video, but Takeuchi, producer of Variant Showdown, has come out and said that they had planned this game internally to release on November 6th to commemorate the release of Sword Art Online itself. However, they eventually decided the game needed a little bit more work, so they have internally delayed to some later date. I know a lot of people take this as a delay announcement, however, publicly speaking, nothing got delayed. These were internal plans that never came into reality. We were never promised a date. So this is technically not a release, this is just the developers trying to communicate transparently with you. You know, if you raise a shitstorm over something like this, the developer being candid with you, then you deserve no communication. I'm sorry. This is a great move on Takeuchi's side, being honest, being transparent about the development process of the game, something we really could have benefited during these content droughts for Alicization Lycoris. We still can benefit from it. The Edith update has no date. So please don't raise your pitchforks for the developer actually trying to communicate with you something that they never had to communicate in the first place. Thank you, that's all I have to say. Sword Art Online Integral Factor Floor 100 has arrived along with a couple events revolving around it. More may come potentially on the Wednesday weekly update, so stay tuned. I still have yet to play it. It came out yesterday on Sunday, and with all the news, I simply had no time to go in and play and record the entire update. I'll probably do it sometime this week around Wednesday, I imagine, because tomorrow Sonic Frontiers is coming out and I'm gonna be playing fucking Sonic Frontiers. Unleash Blading! There's actually some news, very minor news. New Ordinal Battle Season has arrived in the game, so you can gain more diamonds to spend on absolutely nothing at the moment. And there is a new Anniversary Kirito unit that is given out as a login anniversary bonus. And the entire thing makes me feel like this is just their last push before announcing a shutdown. This is like, we have this unit, just have it and enjoy it please, bye bye kind of a situation. We started this Monday without a single new event as well. I mean, it's beyond concerning. I mean, the default assumption is that we're done. They didn't even have a single tie-in event for Scherzo, which is, it's incredibly telling. Like, the tie-in events, they are done to capitalize on huge releases like the Scherzo movie, and they even sometimes mandated by the license holders themselves. The fact that Unleash Blading got nothing, I'm expecting a shutdown in the next month. An announcement of a shutdown in the next month, but that's all we got. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow with Sonic Frontiers instead, if you're interested. I hope you are, because otherwise YouTube is gonna plunge my channel back into the depths of the algorithm dumpster. See you then, back at the dumpster. Stay cool.